Just relax completely as body. Totally connect with body. Notice as you do, the body becomes lighter. Becomes more open, less tense. And just notice all that with deep appreciation for body. Relax completely as body. Connect completely to body. Okay, slowly, very slowly, open your eyes, relax. So this is kind of a way to just sort of connect first with body. So I think Eckhart Tolle once said, that in spirituality often we have a misconception that you can almost see it as the Buddha's journey. Buddha was originally at war with his body. He was at war with his mind. A lot of that has to do with the fact that Buddha was a king, a warrior. That's what he knew. That was the sanskaras familiar to him. He was looking to conquer body. He was looking to conquer mind, which of course resulted in greater mental conflict and greater physical ailment. In fact, had it not been for a sudden insight, maybe he would have ended up dying like many other sadhaks after doing so much tapas, believing that punishing body, being at war with mind, can lead to nirvana or peace, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. So meditation is more a physical phenomenon than a mental. It is really about being in the physical. Just be. So in fact, when we talk to, for example, Zen teachers, in Zen there's an emphasis on posture. So if you ever go to a Zen meditation center, so they'll have you sit in meditation like this in silence, and then you'll have, occasionally as you're sitting, right, you'll tend to slouch. And then this one of the disciples will go around with his Zen stick and poke you to basically straighten your posture up, to be aware of body, be in body, be alert. So it's sort of like pushing you to be more physical than mental. Don't get lost in the mind. Start being really alert to your surroundings. So that's usually a first step in spirituality, and which is also why if you look at yoga, hatha yoga is a very physical process. So it is through the physical that consciousness begins to slow down and be more grounded in body. It is through body, actually, that awakening happens. It's less to do with mind. Mind is a tool in this, actually, because mind influences body, but the actual experience is, overall, it's a physiological experience, right? The experience is totally embodied. It's embodied as experience. So this idea of being somehow the body not being part of the spiritual journey or disconnected from the spiritual journey is another, I would say, common error. And it's paradoxical as you pay attention to body, as you give its due importance, not undue importance. Body becomes lighter and less of a burden to actually connecting. So body, when handled in a normal sense, right? When appreciated for what it is, body functions as that tool for greater connection. Then it becomes the tool for connection, the tool for yoga. I thought I'd begin with that, since it is a grounding practice. So first is connecting with body. There we go. What is the purpose of mind in this? Manas. Mind is a very powerful tool. It is a tool, after all. It is not who I am. But it can play an important role in discovering who you are. And the method by doing that is actually inquiry. Inquiry from the standpoint of mind isn't about finding something. So for example, again, the next misconception is I'm searching for something. I'm searching for peace. I have to grasp onto peace. And those of you who have tried, and you can try this with almost anything, you try to grasp onto peace, and you can't hold on to it. It goes away. If you try to grasp onto happiness, it slips through your fingers, right? And yet, when you let go of the grasping, all of a sudden the peace, the happiness, the bliss is already there. And that infinite connection is already there. So there's an aspect of mind which is grasping. This is an aspect of mind. It is what it is doing what it is trained for. It is to quickly conceptualize reality, capture it into a neat little package, a nice equation, and put that file away. That is a continual process in mind. It is, I look at reality, I observe reality, I put that reality in the form of a model and a file into my memory. Next time something comes up, I project memory, and I use memory as the basis of relating to reality. This is a very common way of doing it, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with this process. But this process is normally, or most commonly, a very unconscious process. I'm not even aware that I'm projecting memory. I'm not even aware that it's my belief. I'm not even aware of what's going on inside me. I'm instead confused by how external reality is not agreeing with my concept. And so this is the dilemma of the human mind, the human ego. The human ego develops a set of constructs around which it relates to reality. And then reality comes along and doesn't agree with those constructs. And this becomes a problem for the human ego, because the human ego is a constructed identity. It is based on a narrative, storytelling. So we tell stories to ourselves to tell us about ourselves. Then I believe the story, and I use the story to relate to reality. So I believe all these people are after me. So, right? Everyone's out to get me. That's a delusion, right? A very common delusion. Then I project onto reality that everyone's out to get me. If that's an extreme case, then you call that someone who's suffering from paranoid delusions, right? But all of us suffer from our own delusions. Every assumption I have is a delusion. Every thought, every idea. And this is where inquiry comes in. And this is kind of the courage of inquiry. And that is, am I willing to question every assumption? Am I willing to see if it's really true? And at times I'll say, it's also very useful when you're experiencing suffering. So if you're feeling like, for example, agitated, sad, angry, one way to sit with yourself is really to sit and inquire, who's angry? Is there really someone that's angry? Can I find that someone that's angry? Is there something specific about that someone that's angry? Or, as you'll start to discover, is it simply a set of assumptions? So it says, who's angry? Well, I am, after all, right? That's the first conclusion. I'm angry. Okay? Who is that? It says, well, when you start to relate to the anger, you start to see the thoughts with it. I'm angry because of this set of circumstances, because that person is in, or whatever, XYZ, and he behaved badly, or she behaved badly, or whatever. So I'm angry, upset, I'm frustrated, I am frustrated. Or is that frustration simply due to an assumption? Okay, here's an assumption that I could say. A real common, you could say, delusion, a delusional assumption. The world should be a certain way. Okay? The world as it is has something wrong with it. The world needs to agree with my worldview. And then you start to see your own worldview. What is a common worldview? There should be justice in the world. There's one, right? There's a lot of people fighting injustice. A core belief is a belief that there should be justice in the world. I'm angry because there should be justice in the world, but there doesn't appear to be. And that's an assumption. So it's not that I'm angry, but there's a belief in this assumption that the world is somehow just. A lot of people call it the just world hypothesis. And when reality doesn't agree with it, there's a conflict, there's an anger, there's a angst, and then there's frustration. I believe my spouse should be a certain way. And as we all know, he or she is not. Assumption. I project my assumption on reality. When reality doesn't agree with my assumption, I now blame reality. Now, this doesn't mean that there aren't times where you do need to change reality. You can be forceful about things. You can be grounded in a certain sense of right conduct. But part of being grounded in that sense of right conduct is really beginning to question those assumptions. And then there can be that you can almost say anger that's not based on assumption, but based on something more true, truth itself. Because there are truths. I'm not saying there's no truth. But that which is true doesn't necessarily rest on any assumption. It's more intelligent than that. It's intelligent. It knows. There's a part of us that knows. And there's that part of it that knows immediately through insight and can distinguish immediately through insight what is right conduct. That's that grounding. That's the what we call the Sadguru inside all of us. And then we get insight into that when, for a moment, we're able to drop all of our assumptions and just listen to that quiet voice, that quiet, confident voice that already knows. It's underneath the thinking. Okay? So, now with that, practical, enough theory, right? So practical, bringing it back to inquiry. So go ahead, close your eyes. Again, allow yourself to center and ground in body. really begin to notice body. And if you need some assistance in grounding, go ahead and observe the breath. Excuse me. Go ahead and observe the breath. So, just observe your breathing. Observe the body. Ground yourself for a moment. Bring yourself again to the here and now. And as you do that, you may actually begin to notice the silence that's always there. Kind of like that vast, spacious silence of consciousness. Just relax in that space. Not again trying to hold on to it. Not again trying to hold on to anything. Just relax. A spacious awareness. Notice that vibrant emptiness inside. Yeah, so just relax. And notice that vast spaciousness. This particular point you can listen to the spaciousness. Listen completely with your body. And in that open, spaciousness, just listen. With an open innocence. Really begin to open up and listen. Listen deeply. listening to the silence, spaciousness, openly listening. As you listen, you may begin to notice you may even hear just listen, see what this openness, this receptivity brings at this moment. Open up completely to whatever is happening at this moment. Open up completely to the vastness of consciousness inside and outside of you. Just listen. No real intention. Listen to the wonder of this moment. Listen to whatever is going on inside and out. Listen with an innocent curiosity. Just listen. Listen, allow. Just listen. Listen completely. open up to whatever is happening, to whatever experience is happening. Just listen. With total receptivity. Listen with the complete body. Just listen. You may hear different ideas, different thoughts. Just listen. Listen completely to the silence. Listen to every sensation. Listen completely. Just listen. Slowly, very slowly, open your eyes, relax. Okay. So that's actually all I have for today. Again, bringing the mind to a state of listening. And as you do that, it becomes more aligned with consciousness. Grounding in body. So these were the two techniques that we practiced today. I guess, any questions regarding that? We have a couple of minutes.
Namaste, Chetan ji.
Yes.
Uh, 1 minute. Actually, we like your sessions very much. If you want to practice this, can you please send us the recordings to our email ID so that we can practice whenever we want?
Sure. I guess I did record this. It's on. I put it on the cloud. I don't know how to get that, but I can always inquire, and I can send that out.
Can I send my email to you now in the chat?
Sure.
Thank you.
Do that. Okay. And then any other questions?
Thank you. It was a great session. Thank you.
Um, oh, thank you. You've been a great class. Okay. So I guess if there's no further questions, let's go ahead and conclude the class. I don't know, there's something... something seems undone or unsaid. Are there any further questions? So with that, I think from a practice standpoint, just sit in that receptive state of listening. And you can actually practice that at any point in the day. And it's basically this is all practices, is bringing a different set of sanskars, you could say, to let go of sanskars, and just bring yourself to a state of listening. Very simply, so there isn't a lot of complication. Just bring yourself to a state of listening. Bring yourself to body. So just practice this. I think with that, we'll conclude with a prayer. So let's bring our hands together. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Padrani Pashyantu Ma Kastit Dukha Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Write down that email. And